Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jared. I am the owner and head instructor of Self Defense Grid. We are owned and operated right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We specialize in both practical hand to hand self defense, active shooter training, weapon defense, and additional advanced training. We train not only individuals, but we also train employees, companies, law enforcement, and security personnel. And we are primarily locally owned and operated, with the exception of having affiliates based in other time zones in the United States. But I wanted to touch base today, and I was making videos on another channel, and I haven't really touched base as far as YouTube videos specifically in for Self Defense Grid. And I wanted to make this first video a kind of like a precursor to our blog posting that we do have on our website. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a self-defense tool that has been mentioned many times in other videos. Specifically, the one that comes to mind is a video done by Jason Hanson, who is a proclaimed CIA agent or ex-CIA agent, ex-police officer. The goal of this video is to clear up a couple of misconceptions about not only the practical use of specifically tack pens in general, but also to talk about certain legalities that may also come with it. Now, just the first pointer I want to make, no pun intended, of course. Overall, tack pens in general are great self-defense weapons, but they're more than that. When they were originally developed, they weren't just for specific self-defense. They were actually made as a weapon retention tool as well, meaning that if you were to open carry, or we'll just leave it at that. We'll say if you were to open carry and someone was to try to take your weapon, ideally you would reach into your pocket with your weak hand, with your weak side, and pull out a tack pen as a last ditch, as to get an attacker or someone who's trying to take your weapon off of you and away from you, and possibly, if necessary, injure them in the process. This was one of the primary purposes of a tack pen initially, and then also the fact that you would break glass with it. So it was intended for both military and police forces, law enforcement in general, first responders, that sort of thing. And somehow along the lines, it became more. There became more awareness of just self-defense as a self-defense tool for the general public, for everyone else, and which is perfectly fine. I have a few different tack pens from a few different brands that I want to touch base on. First thing I want to go over, though, is how do you know a tack pen is actually halfway decent for its intended use? Intended use being, breaking glass in a emergency response situation. I'm just going to leave these down. Breaking glass in an emergency response situation. Self-defense, weapon retention, and those, ideally, those are the three main purposes. So how do you know? Okay, first thing, let's take a look at this one. This particular tack pen is actually made by a company called, I believe it's Guard Dog, and its overall functionality is actually good. It has a nice sharp but not too sharp tungsten steel tip. However, the drawback with this one is it was actually a multi-function pen. Here you see right here, Guard Dog Security, and which means it. I think the primary purpose was, alongside of a tack pen, it was also a flashlight, which has since stopped working. Regardless if I change the batteries or not, it just stopped working. So for one thing, multi-function tack pens are useless. They might work fine for a little while, like the flashlight might be fine. Eventually, it would just stop working. And that goes for a lot of them. This isn't the only one I've tried and carried over the years. But aside from having that lack of reliability, at least in a flashlight sense, it also makes a very uncomfortable thumb rest. Where if you're trying to pierce something, let's say glass, for example, and you have to hit it hard enough, there's basically a ridge, and I wouldn't say it's a sharp ridge, but it could feel like it's sharp when you have enough force pressed against your thumb. This is another reason why multifunction tack pens are never a good idea, ever. And not only that, but I mean, there was another tack pen that I ended up reviewing that was sent to me. I'm not going to mention the company, but they sent it to me for free. I reviewed it. I took a look at it. I actually carried it for a couple days. It had all these attachments for like a bottle opener, a little tiny supposed to be knife, and a fire starter and everything. And none of the attachments were really functional, meaning they couldn't really do anything that would make a difference in any normal day life, or even in a survival situation. So they were pretty much useless. There were extra accessories that hiked the price up a few bucks for no reason. Okay, so keep that in mind. Multifunction tack pens are never a good idea. As far as, if you're looking at other brands that aren't multifunctional, this one is made by a company called Pocket Partners. It's an okay overall. It's an okay tack pen. Problem is, it was very blunt when I got it. I actually had to sharpen the point on it because it was so blunt that I couldn't see it doing anything useful in any situation. I believe this company is actually out of business as of last year. I just haven't looked into it to be certain. The only other tack pens that I've, mentioned is, we're going off of brands here, but keep in mind that I'm not a spokesman for any particular brand. I'm only going off of what I've seen firsthand and what I've carried and practiced with. And yes, there is such a thing as practicing with a tack pen, if you can believe it or not. This one is actually made by a company called the Atomic Bear. They're relatively, decent tack pens manufacturers. This one's called the Rebel, and overall, it's actually a very good tack pen. It's great for striking an opponent, breaking glass, using it as a weapon retention tool. I think the only gripe I have with it is just it doesn't have a grippy surface anywhere. There's a little bit of a groove in here. The thumb rest is fine, but if you have like sweaty hands or really cold hands, sometimes when you get really cold hands, things tend to slip out of your hands. It's just maybe it's just me, I don't know, but that's the only real gripe I have about it. Aside from that, it's very functional, it's very practical, and it actually looks kind of classy too. So if you have this in like a shirt pocket, sticking out, it's not going to look, whoa man, check out that tack pen type of appearance. So that's it's a Rebel by Atomic Bear. I actually have a couple more by Atomic Bear, I just happen to have them, so I wouldn't read too much into it as far as, me being like affiliated or, getting paid to do this video or anything. This one's also Atomic Bear. This is called the Defender pen. This one has a sharper point, only instead of at the bottom or on the other side of where the pocket clip is, it's actually the same side. Personally, I don't think it's super practical when you have a tip that's kind of sticking outward as opposed to inside the pocket. It might get caught on your clothing or whatnot, but this Defender in particular does have a phone stylus. I know some people kind of like the functionality of it. Yes, I say stay away from multifunction pens, but with a stylus, it's not a big deal. It's not going to affect the functionality or, the overall feel really. And even the stylus part is kind of like a nice little thumb rest too. So something to keep in mind. The last one I have is also from Atomic Bear. This one they're more like, I guess, geared toward military and law enforcement type of pen here. It's called a SWAT, ironically. There's a little bump at the top edge here. So you can see that. But it's not sharp where if you put your thumb on it, it's not going to dig in. It's not going to hurt you. But it does have the finger grooves to make it non-slip, but it's also a little larger than the other ones. So overall, that was a quick rundown of different tack pens. A lot of it comes down to also personal choice, as far as do you want something that's larger? Do you want a grip, a grip surface, finger grooves, whatnot? Either way, So the next thing I want to talk about real quick, legality. Guys, there's a lot of misconception about what you can do with a tack pen in certain situations. So I'm just going to touch on the 2 points that have made me the most uncomfortable from other YouTube videos. First one, legality. Okay, legality. You cannot stab someone in the eye if you are not able to verify and prove that your life was in an imminent threat and danger. If you stab someone in the eye with this, you are looking at a possible dismemberment charge. I'm on other criminal charges and potentially a serious lawsuit, regardless if someone's attacking you, unless they're legitimately trying to kill you. Period. There is no gray area in that. It does not matter what state you're in either. Doesn't matter if it's a standard ground state, which, by the way, we are in, being Las Vegas, Nevada. It is standard ground state, and the state and the laws will still say the exact same thing I just said. All right. Aside from that, you can pretty much use this to stab anywhere, anything, anytime that you are being attacked. All right. But the moment you go for someone's eyes, it becomes a dismemberment charge. There are other factors that, attribute to that charge. So, maybe attorneys can chime in here, whatever the case might be. I know that going for someone's eye with a tack pen would not be my first approach, no matter what. It would be more than effective enough to stab someone a few times if you needed to in a dire situation, in the leg, in the arm. I mean, you could stab someone in the side of the neck and they'll still live. You won't catch a murder charge or anything. All right. So keep that in mind, guys. Do not stab someone in the eye. You won't need to poke them in the eye, gouge them in the eye with your fingers, your thumbs. Fine. Do not do it with a tack pen or knife or any other object. All right. So overall, just in conclusion, why do I recommend the tack pens? Because you can carry them pretty much everywhere. You can carry them to a courthouse. You cannot carry them on a plane. Do not listen to anyone that they say you can carry an aluminum or steel tack pen on a plane. They will tell you to throw it away on the spot as soon as they see it. This is, keep in mind, we're in year 2023. So if someone made a video for 5-6 years ago and they said they carried them on a plane, I believe them. You can't do it now, period. All right. But aside from that, you can carry them pretty much everywhere else. Because overall they are a pen regardless. So aside from that, it's also a non-threatening thing, if you have sticking out of your pocket. Most people are not going to see this as a knife. I think it was Jason Hansen that mentioned, I don't, you got to be careful because you see him with a clip out of the pocket. Yeah, but you can clearly tell it's a pen. When it's sticking out from the pocket right about here, from where my finger is up, it's a pen. You can tell it's not a knife. So that's one great benefit of it. The other thing is it's not a folding knife. Why do I mention folding knife? Because how long does it take for you to grab something out of your pocket with your weak hand and flip it open? It's not going to be easy. This, you literally grab and go. If you're in a situation such as in law enforcement or security or whatnot, maybe someone's trying to take your weapon, you can get this out with your weak side while guarding your weapon and still maintain control while delivering strikes. Same thing in an emergency, maybe an escape emergency or rescue emergency, first responder, whatever you want to call it. It's easier to just grab this out of the pocket and go if you need to break some glass. All right. So these are great options for self-defense overall, but understand that you still got to watch the legality factor too. A lot of people will say, well, I don't care as long as I come out of it alive. Well, keep in mind, yeah, you might come out of this alive, but then you spend the rest of your life in prison. You don't want that. So just be very careful when you have something like this and where you use it and how you use it. Alrighty, guys. So there's going to be more video demonstrations on self-defense techniques overall in the coming days and weeks. So if you guys do have any questions about, tack pens in particular, feel free to comment and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.